be seated so we can begin on time? Okay, I need everybody's attention. I said I need everybody's attention. I need everyone's attention, please. Okay. First of all, I can tell by the level of the noise that there was a lot of discussion over this coffee break. I'm sure that people were renewing their contacts and networking like mad, and I'm happy. I'm really happy that this is taking place. Now, I just want to take a second, if I may have your attention. I'd like to take a second to say a real big shout out to the UNICEF Rwanda office for this wonderful video. I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but it is an excellent example of how popular culture is used to communicate important messages that have the potential to change behaviors. So thank you, UNICEF Rwanda. Now, again, thank you for tolerating my symbols and the noise that I have to, what I have to do to bring everybody back to the same page. Without further delay, I want to bring back to the platform Rosangela, who is going to moderate session 2 over the next 45 minutes. And she has some very, I think, practical information to share with us about the structure of the global partnership, and I'm sure everybody's going to listen up for that. And I think that you're going to enjoy also what she has to say to us about the vision and the mission of the partnership, the global partnership. She has also with her a speaker. I'm going to let her introduce the speaker, Susan Sottoli. Anyway, without any further ado, let me just turn the session over to Rosangela.
Thank you, Paulette. Thank you very much, Susana Sottoli, our boss here. Thank you for being here with us. So again, still very inspiring and inspired, very close to the mic. And what I wanted just to take some moments to review a little bit the last session and just reflect a little bit about where we were 1 year ago. I remember that 1 year ago we were here talking about an idea, right? A vision and an idea for a partnership. We came up to this state saying we don't have any money, we don't have more than our will to collaborate, to offer. We had an idea of starting with the 3 task forces: nutrition, education, and emergencies. We had a lot of people joining, and now, just with the first session, we saw how many things happened without any structure, without funding, without just because people decided to work together. We achieved a lot of things through the task forces. Another task force was born right last year too, the assistive technology one, generating already results. Now we have another task force on ECD. We have another new task force born now on access to health. And I'm just hearing more calls for other different groups to organize. We were talking to ICO from the Asia Pacific region, maybe with a possibility not only on having national partnerships, but maybe a regional partnership on children with disabilities. We had examples of partnerships in Kenya, for example, where UNICEF is not yet playing a strong role, but civil society is following our model here. Another one in Vietnam, where the government is leading. We have in UNICEF Rwanda leading a partnership. So this can take many different forms depending on how countries think they should work, and the agenda is, everything is determined by what you can do, what you want to do, and what the country needs to do. So with a very light structure we have, and actually I really want to acknowledge the work of Amy Farkas and Anna Bulieva. They did fantastic work mobilizing all of you. Amy is on maternity leave, and she's watching us through live stream. Many kisses for her. And she's probably delivering, I said it to be tonight after the meeting is over, so that's a big possibility. In any case, we used the resources we had, meaning we had surveys consulting you during the whole year on different things, on creation of task forces. Now we have a logo of the partnership that you voted on. We have a structure, a governance structure that we will talk about it right now. But I think that to start with, we should be very proud of being here today with already a long way of working together and planning and enthusiastically thinking what will go next. The objective is today we are collecting your inputs as we have been doing, and we will develop a draft action plan after the forum. Hopefully it will be ready by November to share with everybody again, to consult with everybody. I acknowledge Amy and Anna, but I also want to acknowledge and thank very much the core group of the task force, IDDC, IDA, academics represented by Leonard Cheshire, Australia as a representative of donors. Unfortunately, they could not be here with us today, but they played a fundamental role in the whole process. The GPDD with Maria Veronica. So everybody worked together very hard during the whole year. So I just want to make sure that they are visible too. So this session now is really to review what we already approved as a global partnership through the surveys. First thing is we would like to talk about a little bit of the structure that was voted through the survey. So this is, last year we decided we would not have any structure, and this year we would start, if the partnership would be a reality, we would start discussing structure, governance, and how we would move forward. So that's what we are doing during this session now. We submitted through the partners 3 possible structures of the global partnership and explaining a little bit which structure would bring to us. And through the online survey, we had an amazing vote for the option that we will show to you right now. So 82% of members voted for this one. Option 2, nobody voted for it, and option 3, only 6.9%. So it is almost unanimous that the structure that we will present now will be the one that we will be adopting. Okay? So what is this structure? Sorry. Yeah, let's go directly to the diagram. We will have a steering committee formed with the core group, and the core group is basically not individuals, but main constituencies. So we have, again, the same ones that I mentioned before, IDDC, the International Disability and Development Consortium, representing the INGOs and the NGOs working in the field of disability, both globally and nationally as well. We have the Global Partnership on Disability and Development that was initiated by the World Bank, and many of us are part of it as well. We have the donor structure within the Global Partnership on disability and development as well. We have academic institutions. We have interagency support group members, meaning UN agencies being members of the group, and the International Disability Alliance for sure. So this core group would continue serving as a steering committee for the global partnership. Then we will have a secretariat that will be doing member relations, coordination of communication and collaboration among members, knowledge management, planning of annual meetings, supporting national partnerships and task forces, developing a fundraising strategy, publicly representing the GPcwd as well. And the secretariat will be led by a steering committee. So the secretariat will be executing what the steering committee is indicating. The steering committee will be composed by 10 members. Again, IDA, IDDC, GPDD, ISG, the Interagency Support Group, and the UN Partnership on the Rights of People with Disabilities, plus UNICEF and 5 other members, constituents, for example, including governments, child-focused INGOs, research institutions, secretariat, and the private sector. The advisory council would be led by the co-chairs. Steering committee to work closely with the secretariat in developing a fundraising strategy, responsible for overseeing of the task force as well, the steering committee. And the steering committee will have a virtual or in-person meeting at least once a year. This was what was decided by all of you. Then we have also national partnerships. Can we go back to the diagram, please? Yes, we'll have the national partnerships, and the national partnerships should include, as we mentioned here, a diverse group of stakeholders. So the partnership, what we have are guidelines on how to establish partnerships in the same module that we create the global one, but again, this is a structure that will be decided in national level. What brings all of us together is a focus on children with disabilities, but the partnership will take the format that you decided that it should take. The other part of the structure, back to the diagram, please. Sorry, I'm changing the whole script, but are the task forces. I think the task forces are very clear for us right now. They will be assessed annually by the steering committee, so now we are starting to create a little bit of accountability around what we are creating. We had a very informal year with very hard work, but now it's important to have a mechanism. So we review what we are doing, we focus on results, and we are able to report. The steering committee will be paying attention to this, the secretariat will be supporting, and the idea is that the global partners, the global task force would also be working to support similar structures of task force in national level as well. So the other part of the structure is the National Youth Council. We are considering extremely important, and we need to make a big effort to make this real. We need to create a global youth council and national youth councils related to every national partnership and with everything we do. So not only through the youth council, but in every task force, you should be considering seriously as the main constituency of the task force, the voices of children and youth and their families as well. So this is a call that it has to be there in the structure of the global partnership, but most importantly, it has to be in our practice throughout the work we do. So, task force global, the global advocacy team. So basically, I'm sorry, I'm getting lost with all the papers here, but the idea is that, of course, our main objective is, first of all, influence the global agenda on child's rights to include children with disabilities, and also to influence the disability agenda to include children with disabilities. So what we need to work is in global level and national level to make sure that everything related to child's rights include children with disabilities. And when we talk about children with disabilities, as we are doing here in New York this week, we have to make sure that when the high-level meeting happens, when we discuss post-2015, specifically through the disability lens, children's voices and children with disabilities are also represented. That's the main objective of the Global Partnership, and this will be our global advocacy work. So I'm sure that all of you have copy of the structure, and you will be receiving it back again. So I would not like to extend a lot on this, because first, maybe what it would be good, some of the people here, they did not participate last year, and they were not yet part of the Global Partnership when the structure was voted. So I just wanted to use this session for us to consolidate some commitments. Then I would just ask people if someone has any comment on the structure, and to say it now. And if not, I just wanted us to adopt it. So, anybody with a comment on it? And please be very, very brief, because we have to get out of here 5 to 12. So we have a lot of things to go. Can we have the microphone there for a moment? Please be your name and very brief. We need the microphone just a moment.
I just want to echo what another colleague brought up this morning about a clear need for a task force on health and disabilities.
Okay. So we have another person, and I think it would be okay. Please comment.
This is Divyalata. Just referring back again to the morning's discussion where a need to engage with families and really having their representation. Now, I'm not very clear how the structure of governance would allow for that, but just to bear in mind that we need to have a meaningful space for families to have their voices heard as well, families of children with disabilities. Thank you.
Okay. Note taking about this.
Hi, Ted Morrow. I think disabled persons organizations and how they're going to interact with the consortium is something that we need to discuss. Particularly, I'm thinking that international DPOs, national DPOs, and local DPOs, and I could see them fitting in each one of those sections. But I do think they need a formal role.
Yeah, actually, the DPOs are the core group of the partnership. So they are running the partnership basically together with the UN agencies and ADDC and the academic. They play a fundamental role from the beginning. So it's expected that in national level it happens the same way. Of course, all of us have to make sure that it happens, right? And I think that the comment on families is very important. We also assume that families are part of the process in all the task force and everything. So it will be something to be discussed. Nobody suggested it during the whole process of defining the structure. So it's something that we can bring up and see how to give visibility to it. So are we ready to adopt this structure? Okay. Another question here. And I'm sorry, will have to be the last one. We cannot hear. Just a moment. Just a moment.
Thank you. I have a question about the structure, and I also recall that I chose that structure, the first option, but my question is, what counts as equal partnership? Because when we look at the structure, it's still hierarchical, and and also we have a steering committee and people can collaborate with one another. But if we want true and equal partnership from organizations, what would help us to establish a standard in order to be, for peoples and partners to be equal in such a structure? Thank you.
Well, I think that the challenge of making the partnership run the way we want will be while we are doing this. So we had some concerns raised during the voting for the structures. For example, we needed a structure that would be light. And I think that, again, we tried to distribute the power to have, we are focusing much more on accountability than hierarchical power. We just have to have this functioning. So it's a system that would allow us to be operational, not dictating how national global partnerships will function, not dictating how the youth councils will be functioning. Everybody will take their own responsibility, but then we have all the constituencies represented in the steering committee, and there's no other way that you can operate if not giving each constituency a representation. So, so that's, I think that it will happen while we start working together. We will be identifying problems and we will be solving them. So, the idea right now is just to start with a light structure. Last year we thought we would not have any structure. Now we are starting to introduce some kind of structure, and it's possible, like we said last year, that in 2 years the partnership is not needed anymore. So we don't want to create a big, heavy structure that would hold us from doing things and evaluating it and seeing if it's worth continuing with the partnership. So the idea is really to have something light that will allow us to change it, flexibility to adapt it, and move ahead with this. So nothing is written in stone right now. We have 3 questions here, but can you read these questions? Yes.
I don't speak English.
Dino Di Tullio doesn't speak English very well, sorry.
Sono il segretario nazionale del sindacato SPIDA, Sindacato Famiglie Italiane Diverse Attività.
National Secretary from Syndicate of the Families, Italian Families with Disabilities.
Ringrazio Maria per la traduzione. Allora, io volevo portare la mia testimonianza.
I would like to make a statement.
Io, prima ancora di essere segretario nazionale del sindacato SPIDA, sono papà di un ragazzo, di un bambino affetto da disabilità rarissima, molto grave.
Before I became secretary, I was the father of a child with disability, with a very rare disability.
Io da 16 anni cerchiamo di portare avanti un obiettivo, quello di unire il mondo della disabilità.
Since I was 17 years old, I was trying to bring together the world of people with disabilities.
Il grande problema oggi nel mondo è che fa più notizia un animale abbandonato per strada o un albero tagliato, e non una persona disabile, un bambino disabile chiuso in casa.
It's outrageous nowadays that abandoned dogs and cats and even the trees that has been cut attract more attention than children with disabilities.
Io sono stato anche ieri alla conferenza all'ONU. La cosa che mi ha colpito tantissimo è la mancanza di partecipazione dei big della politica.
Yesterday I was at the conference at the UN, and the thing that I was surprised at that there were no big people represented at this conference, the big politicians.
Credo che il grande problema è dei genitori, in quanto non siamo uniti.
The biggest problem of the parents of children with disabilities is that they cannot unite. They need to unite.
Oggi nel mondo il 30% delle famiglie direttamente o indirettamente ha a che fare con il mondo della disabilità.
We need to do something direct.
I'm sorry, I'm just asking, we have 20 minutes to close the whole session, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We really appreciate. If you have a concluding remark in 30 seconds, please.
Chiudo dicendo una cosa. Noi in Italia abbiamo una torre disabile.
In Italy, there is a very big problem.
Torre disabile.
Tower.
Disabile. È la torre di Pisa.
Pisa Tower.
I pisani non l'hanno buttata giù.
The people who live in Pisa, they didn't throw it away because it was cracked. It wasn't right.
Ne hanno fatto una ricchezza. Facciamolo pure noi, grazie.
Okay,
Thank you.
very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for your statement. So we really have to run very much now. So can we adopt the structure the way it is and we continue, we have the commitment, for example, the questions that we received, the 3 questions are all about ensuring the voice of the South in the global partnership. This is extremely important. We are working with all the national partnerships is exactly to make sure that we reflect globally what is happening in the local level, and we support from global to local as well. So this is a concern that has to be there the whole time as well. So can we adopt the structure now, or do we want to postpone this for next time? Can we? If you agree, say aye. Yay, great. So we will try to do, thank you very much. We will try to do another voting process very quick here that I think that we can all get consensus very fast. And this would be on the mission statement of the partnership. We are proposing this mission statement, which is to galvanize and coordinate global and national efforts towards inclusive development with a focus on children with disabilities. We think that this is pretty common sense. So if nobody wants to challenge it or to question it, it would be fantastic if we can adopt it. Can we adopt it? Okay, say yes. We have a mission statement. Fantastic. So we still have to go through the vision. That it will be our last part of the session. But I would like to invite Susana just to give everybody very briefly an idea of what's going on in UNICEF. And we think that it's important because it will influence the global agenda on child's rights in the next 4 years, 3 years. So I would like for Susana just to tell you what is the structure of UNICEF strategic plan for the next 3 years and how we can see synergies between the global partnership and the UNICEF strategic plan as well. Please, Susana.
Thank you, Rosangela, and hi everyone. Very pleased to be here. Just briefly on a personal note, if you allow me. Just 1 year ago, more or less, when you were gathering here for the first meeting of the partnership, I was also just moving back from the field to headquarters, and I remember participating in this first gathering and witnessing how ideas were starting to take form, and it's really a pleasure to be now after that year where so many things have been happening. So I'm really glad that Rosangela asked me to share with you briefly if that is possible. Some main elements of the strategic plan that has been approved by UNICEF Executive Board just recently, which establishes UNICEF's priorities, strategies, and opportunities for the next 4 years. The strategic plan covers 2014-2017. And just the title of the plan reflects very much its strategic intention and vision, realizing the rights of every child, especially the most disadvantaged. It provides a vision, as I was saying, for 2017 and beyond, but also provides direction for accelerating results for children, as this plan actually bridges the final 2 years of the MDG timetable, as we all know. It is important for us to be able to share with you the main elements of this plan, because actually we don't consider it as an UNICEF plan. This has been the result of many dialogues, partnership, joint collaboration with partners from different walks of lives, and not only at headquarters, but also regions and country office level. So I'm sure that in many cases, the initiatives that you are undertaking with UNICEF and some other partners in your respective areas of work would be somehow reflected, and I hope that you can relate to them. This plan explicitly reaffirms our mission as one that promotes the rights of every child everywhere, with an emphasis on the most disadvantaged and excluded children and families. It focused, so first element, very important, reaffirms our mandate as universal. Can you go to the next, please? Human rights for every child everywhere. The second aspect is that the plan has a very explicit focus on equity. And equity understood as the way we can translate the commitment to child rights into practical action. For UNICEF, in the framework of this plan, equity means that all children have an opportunity to survive, develop, and reach their full potential, without discrimination, bias, or favoritism or any class. To the degree, and this is explicitly stated in the plan, to the degree that any child has an unequal chance in life, her or his rights are violated. And this establishes the point of departure for all our actions. There is a growing evidence that investing in the health, education, and protection of the most disadvantaged children and groups, families, communities in general, not only will give all children the opportunity to fulfill their potential, but also makes political, economic, and development sense. So the plan is calling for sustained investments in those children and families that are not rich, that are the unfinished agenda, as we call it. This focus, the plan considers as vital to accelerate progress towards not only realizing human rights in general, but, as I was saying, to accelerate MDG achievement. And increasing equity, it's increasing evidence is showing us that it's not only feasible, affordable, but also effective. The plan, next please, establishes 7 result areas: health, HIV/AIDS, water and sanitation, nutrition, education, child protection, and social inclusion. These 7 results areas are the sort of structure of the plan, because equity throughout the life cycle of a child is a core factor in the achievement of equitable development. The plan emphasizes investments across not only the sectors, but across the 2 decades of a child's life, we hope that through our work and partnerships and policies and programs, we'll be able to support government and societies so that investments made at key points across the life cycle have a cumulative benefit, and also they ensure a continuum of support and opportunity for all children. This is the what of the plan in a very comprised nutshell. So let me just complement it with some of the hows, meaning the strategies that we are emphasizing as the way we are going to implement these plan results. First of all, the plan is stressing the idea that we cannot and we will not achieve any of those results just working by ourselves. So the strategic plan will definitely leverage a growing diversity of partnerships with governments, civil society, private sector, and others. And I thought that this was particularly relevant in terms of the discussions that we are having today. These include also public-private partnerships, South-South and triangular cooperation, and engagement with particularly non-governmental organizations. A second strategy is the one directed to scale up proven interventions. We have a body of knowledge about what works, what doesn't work, coming out from academia, our own experience, partners, etc. We need to scale up those interventions that have proved to be efficient, effective. We also need to enhance accountability of national institutions, duty bearers, for effective policies, programs, and services for children, all children everywhere. We are going to be harnessing innovations, and in this regard, I am convinced that partnerships such as the one that we have here is it's particularly relevant in terms of gathering ideas, gathering innovations coming from all over the world, and this we need to really infuse energy and fresh thought to our work in various countries. Very important in terms of the disabilities and some other drivers of exclusion. Because we have learned from previous analysis of previous cooperation cycles that any single sector is very unlikely to achieve sustainable results by itself. We are emphasizing cross-sectorality, synergies across sectors, and particularly emphasizing the drivers of exclusion, which, as we were listening to Nick, our program director, earlier this day, are very much related to issues of disability, ethnicity, race, income, gender, etc. So we are having a plan that offers us a platform for cross-sectorality with a particular emphasis on how those drivers of exclusion overlap in a complex situation that need to be addressed in a very comprehensive way in order to move forward with very effective interventions. Almost at the end of my brief sharing with you about the plan, I would like to stress that we think that addressing gaps in data, evidence, it's crucial, not only for purposes of agenda setting, counting those that are uncount, providing visibility to issues that need to be brought to the higher political agenda, but also because information, data is key in terms of enhanced accountability, be it at the formal level, but also at the very social level of people, communities being empowered and being ready to demand rights accountability. And finally, the plan is it's of course has been developed based on the idea of UNICEF leveraging our presence in most countries of the world, and of course leveraging the whole commitment of partners in those countries around children in general and children with disabilities and with disadvantage and suffering any form of exclusion. So I'll stop here, and I'm very happy to be able to share these ideas with you, because as I said, this is not just UNICEF's corporate plan. It hopefully reflects also your ideas about how the post-2015 world would look like for children in general and for children with disability in particular. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Susana. Well, we only have 5 minutes or less. So what we would like to propose now is a vision for the global partnership. What we would love to do is to approve this vision here, because what in UNICEF we would like to do, we are developing our action plan to support the strategic plan of UNICEF right now. And if the global partnership adopts this vision, or whatever vision we adopt, UNICEF will use this vision to guide our own action plan. So I will let Susana, can you just read the points for us?
Sure. The first one is children with disabilities are counted and have greater visibility in national data collection. This points to the fact of, data information systems need to be there in order for everyone to be visible. Secondly, children with disabilities are safe from stigma, discrimination, and other forms of violence. Third, children with and without disabilities are learning and playing together in regular schools. 4, girls with disabilities have greater access and opportunities to realize their potential. 5, concrete action by governments to ratify and progressively implement the CRC and the CRPD. And finally, funding for humanitarian action taking into account the needs of children and adults with disabilities and remove barriers instead of building new ones. So this would be the vision, Rosangela.
So comments, please. If we can be extremely brief, please. Yes. We have several hands.
I would just like to echo the previous comment. Jim Lesko with Council for Exceptional Children. I do not see the families and the engagement of families and the voice of families in the vision. I think that would be very helpful.
Very brief comments. We have Barbara there.
Hello, again, my name is Charles Bailey. I'm with the Aspen Institute. I spent 10 years in Vietnam as the Ford Foundation representative, and I work closely with UNICEF. And I want to applaud what you're developing here, both the global partnership as well as the UNICEF strategic plan. My impression is from Vietnam that UNICEF Vietnam has a major program with disabilities, and how are you going to find the funding to spread practical action to other countries?
I'm sorry, we are focusing only on the vision now. We had time to talk about this before. Now, only comments very specific on the vision, so we can, in 3 minutes, get out of here. Barbara Murray, please. Barbara from ILO.
My name is Colin Lowe, President of the International Council for Education of People with Visual Impairment. I do want to focus on the vision. It seems to me that what you've written up there is more like activities. It's a range of activities rather than a vision, and we need a much more general, overarching statement for our vision. I would need to remind myself what you just agreed for the mission, but it occurs to me that what you agreed for the mission may possibly be more like the vision, and the activities that you've written up there would be more like a mission. What do you say?
Thank you. Just 2 comments on the vision. Fantastic, by the way. This is just really so inspiring. But just looking at the vision there, I think I can see why you just say girls with disabilities have greater access to opportunities to realise their potential. But really, all children with disabilities need that, and there needs to be a special. So I think it could be misinterpreted if you just leave it with girls with disabilities. And then I think that this is certainly relating to school, but then there is transition from school to training and work at a later stage. And I just wonder, could that transition be reflected in the vision statement, perhaps in relation to having greater access and opportunities to realise their potential, not just now, but in their future lives as young adults?
Yeah, we can elaborate on this, Barbara. Thank you. Colin, please. Jenny or Colin?
Jenny.
And I think it has to be the last one, right, Paulette? This will have to be the last statement. Okay, last statement, please.
Thank you. I will make my comments very short. I think the vision statement is good the way it is. The World Federation for the Deaf Youth Services section, wants to concentrate on point number 3, having to do with access to schools. Children with disabilities and others should be not by themselves in school. It says that all children should be in regular schools, the way it's now printed. There are sometimes the need for schools where people of the same background, the same disability are together. There should be a choice in systems that are successful for each student. Otherwise, children who are deaf or who have language communication issues might not be so successful in just the schools as put here in normal schools. So other alternatives need to be an important part. And WFD Youth Service and WFD at the greater level always accesses for bilingual access to education. So I think we need to tweak that part that talks about education for children with disabilities to include the bilingual approach and to include the choices.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I just want to say that the vision is a general one for the future, for post-2015. And hopefully, in the future, children with and without disabilities will be learning and playing together. What we put under each one of the vision points will be more detailed than the actions and everything that we have. This is just a general vision. We can work on it, for sure. I don't think in a vision we would say all the details of each kind of disability, etc. We have to have something that is general. So if we can agree with those, and for example, number 4, we could say girls and boys instead of girls. I think it's a good issue. Some people think it's not, because what we are wanting here is an affirmative action statement on girls. Obviously, it's on girls and boys, but this is not literal. This is a vision for the future, very global, very broad. So all the details we can build. If we can agree, we will not have time for statements anymore, I'm sorry. But if we can agree that this would be a structure of a vision, we will circulate the vision with everybody again after the forum. You send our comments, we see what we can do and return to you, and then we approve. Is it okay? Can we agree that this will be the basis for the vision? Great, thank you very much, everybody. And I will give you to Paulette, because we have to have a rush experience right now. Thank you very much for everybody and for your attention and for participating.
Okay. Okay, may I have your attention, please? Thank you, Rosangela and Susana. Now, I'm assuming everybody in this room is hungry. And with that assumption, I would need your attention so I can give you some information that will be useful in how you're going to access your lunch. Now, I think everybody's quiet now. Okay, just before, I'm the facilitator, so I'm going to say one thing about the vision slide. What I liked about it, if it counts, is that there's something in there for everybody. There's something in there for governments, for civil societies, for the UN, for even private sector. And I hope that, as Rosangela said, you will facilitate a way that you can provide your comments, and so that it can be tweaked according to the input that we get and finalized. So.
I've heard that there is a no on the vision, so again, what we will do, we are not adopting any vision, we will circulate with the comments that were made now. You will send suggestions, and then we will consolidate the final vision, okay?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, today we will not be able to do this. We still have to discuss also the membership criteria. We will be following up with you on all of this. Thanks.
Now, let me proceed with explaining what is next in terms of the immediate future and satisfying our stomachs. Number one, this room has to be cleared in as rapidly as possible to facilitate the setting up for a side event, which I'm sure all of you will be. I hope we'll have plenty of people who are going to attend. It's a side event that's put on jointly by the UN partnership. And so we will need for you, no one to leave any personal items in this room. No personal items should be left in this room. They're going to come in and move the chairs around, etc. Now, lunch will be served. I need your attention. Lunch will be served upstairs in Danny K. We invite you to go and get your lunch. You can either find a seat in Danny K, bring it back for the side event, or sit in the cafeteria where the side event will be live streamed. And unfortunately, we don't have any windows. If it is not raining, you may want to go outside in the small area outside, right outside, for your lunch. Now, I just want to reiterate this because this is very important. The side event will take place from 12:30 to 13:45. Whoops. I hear a lot of chattering, and I'm not going to repeat this very often here. The side event is going to take place from 12:30 to 13:45. And this is going to be orchestrated in a prompt manner because we have to reset up the room for the afternoon session of the forum. Okay, so I will just very briefly repeat this. Lunch is served upstairs in Danny K. You're invited to get your lunch and find a place to eat, whether it's in Danny K or in the cafeteria or outside, or bring your lunch back down here for the side event, which is being put on by the UN partnership. Okay? So, with that, I'm going to